My whole life, I've wondered what it would be like to take an exotic car into the middle of nowhere. And I don't mean the middle of nowhere like, oh, I live in Elgin, Illinois, and it's 22 minutes from downtown and there's nothing to do here. I mean the actual middle of nowhere. So here I am in the middle of nowhere, Wray, Colorado. Population 2,000 with a cow population of probably 10 times more. The nearest Starbucks is a 6-hour round trip. And I'm going to show you a few things about what it's like to drive an exotic car into the middle of nowhere. Of course, I've learned all these things because I'm now 1,600 miles into my bumper-to-bumper warranty testing cross-country and back road trip from Philadelphia to California and back. Speaking of my road trip, all of your suggestions help me figure out all the places that I'm going to be meeting with my readers and viewers next week. So, if you live in Boise, Billings, North Dakota, Minneapolis, Chicago, or Cleveland, check the description on this video or AutoTrader Oversteer or my Facebook or my Instagram pages for all the meetup spots and times because I really want to meet you. And now back to driving an exotic car into the middle of nowhere. Now, the beginning of my trip was rather nondescript.
This is what Indiana looks like. This is what Illinois looks like. This is what Iowa looks like.
Although I did get to see some interesting things being transported.
Here is the most miserable guy on the road. Except for maybe this guy. There's a van with show frogs.
But eventually I got off the interstate and I got onto local and state roads in really rural Nebraska and Colorado. And then I found some unusual things. For example, there was a train. And the bugs. It is impossible to drive anywhere in this part of the country at this time of the year and not get the front of your car caked with bugs. And so the front of my car is caked with bugs. The other thing about this part of the country is the roads are awful. There are two types of awful. They're either incredibly flat and dull.
This is what Nebraska looks like.
Or truly, truly terrible quality. Here are some actual roads that I drove on or saw in rural Nebraska and Colorado. Another thing, I was rounding a bend somewhere in Nebraska, maybe the only bend in Nebraska, and a Chevy Cruze came the other way and kicked a rock into my windshield and created a chip. This is a pretty common problem in cars like this, on trips like this, because the cars are so low that a chip that would normally hit your bumper or your grill and bounce right off instead hits your windshield. I hope that I'm going to be able to fill it when I get back and it hasn't already spread throughout the whole windshield over the next 5,000 miles. Here's another crazy thing about exotic cars in rural areas, the gas situation. You know how you live in the city and you just take for granted you pull up to a pump and premium will be there? Not so in the country. I pulled up to a pump earlier today in Cambridge, Nebraska, population 1,093, and there at the pump were two types of fuel, regular and super. They were both 87 octane. So if you're gonna drive a car like this in a place like this, you'd better be prepared to stick out. To show you what I mean, I'm gonna take you through Wray, Colorado, one of the friendliest towns on the Great Plains, but not exactly a cosmopolitan place. After all, I'm shooting this video 2 minutes from its main street. It's also not really known for its automotive diversity. Here's what I mean.
American car, 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 American car.
Also, while I'm out here, it's worth noting the car has made it 1,600 miles in 2.5 days with not a single problem, not one little issue, although there are a few quirks to report, one of which is the navigation system. Now, I'm driving through Nebraska, speed limit 75, so you often find yourself going 80, 85, 75, 70. Now, when you go above 80 in this car, the navigation system says scale will be changed. You drop below 75 and the navigation system says scale will be changed. Above 80, scale will be changed. Below 75, scale will be changed. The result is I truly believe the navigation system has changed its scale 450 times as I've made it across the state of Nebraska. The other thing that gets me about this car, and I've complained about it before, but on this trip it's insane, is just how dirty with brake dust these wheels get. Look at this. So I've bought some wheel cleaner and I'm gonna use it. It still isn't perfect. After 15 minutes of scrubbing with the best wheel cleaner Walmart has to offer and a towel I stole from my hotel last night. And if you can't get it perfect with a stolen hotel towel and a Walmart wheel cleaner, then you'll never get it perfect. But there is one thing I truly love about driving a car like this through rural areas. Every so often you get to drop a couple of gears and do this. So that's a general overview of what it's like to drive an exotic car through the middle of nowhere. For more of my thoughts and to see details about next week's meetups in Boise, Billings, North Dakota, Minneapolis, Chicago, and Cleveland, click the link below to check out my column on AutoTrader Oversteer. I hope to see you there, and I hope I make it.
Copper rental car, copper rental car, copper rental car, rental car.